Welcome back to Trek Trav. I am Trav, and today we're discussing Star Trek Nemesis, the final in the Star Trek TNG films. The film was directed by Stuart Byrd, who was previously mainly an editor and is his first foray into directing. It had a budget of $60 million, but only made $67 million back in 2002. Up until that point, the most expensive Star Trek movie ever produced. I think other than the motion picture. And what we had was a film that is a mixed bag amongst a lot of the fans. The film starred the TNG crew, plus Tom Hardy in one of his first American roles, who would go on to be a star of his own, but this film certainly didn't help him on the way. The film's advertising was action-packed. It showed you fights, battles, the Enterprise crashing into an alien ship. It was the first time we're going to see the Romulans as a center villain. It was poised to be a generation's final journey coming to an end. And it was billed to be the next generation's final film, but we all knew that if they made enough money, they would still be making films today. The film starts off with the Romulan Senate talking Romulan things, doing Romulan stuff. And then we are left with that Senate being decimated. An opening which was, at the time I was like, whoa, that is pretty freaking cool. They turn to stone, they crumble. And then we cut to Picard giving a speech at Riker and Troy's wedding, of which we've been waiting for 7 seasons of the show and 3 films at this point. The relationship had only become rekindled in the Insurrection movie about 4 years prior. There's a lot of banter, humour. Whoopi shows up. Will Wheaton pops up in the background. He likes to pop up for about 2 seconds and then disappear. And then we obviously get a signal from a planet, a positronic signal, so it could be another android-like Data on the planet. Turns out it is an android-like Data on the planet, and they have to escape the planet's inhabitants while bringing the parts of this android back. It's a really good action beat, but no reason for it to be there whatsoever. They take the android back. Turns out his name is B4. He is also a little bit simple. And Data is disappointed at this, as he was with Lore, who's not mentioned in this film, his other android brother. Then we get a signal from Romulus. It's been taken over by a person named Shinzon, who we later discover would be a part of the Remans, of whom are an unknown race up until this film, who are an offshoot of the Romulans. They get there, we find out that Shinzon is in fact the clone of Captain Picard, and needs Picard's DNA to live. He sort of convinces Picard that he's there for good and to bring the Romulan Empire and the Federation closer together. Actually, he's there to steal Picard's blood and obviously go on living and destroy Earth. Not clear on his motivations, but there we are. No mention of Sealer either. Basically, a fight is what ensues. The Enterprise against a new ship called the Scimitar with the Remans. Picard gets kidnapped. Data, pretending to be B4, is on the ship, saves Picard. They have this really cool exit where they fly a ship through a ship, or a little ship through a big ship, and it explodes out. Then we get to the battle sequence where the Enterprise crashes into the Scimitar, and we think all is lost. The Scimitar starts loading up its big fucking weapons. The Romulans obviously come to the aid of the Enterprise, and this sort of sets up a new beginning. And thankfully, Picard once again goes, I've got to face him. Shinzon is dying. He's all wrinkly and funny-faced. And Picard goes over to try and stop him with his phaser and everything like that. Picard's an action hero in these films. He seems to always be, in particularly First Contact through to Nemesis. Shinzon and Picard start fighting. Picard is a lot older, but Picard manages to stab him through the chest with a pole from the wall. Shinzon dies. Data beams aboard to save him, and what's been laced in the beginning is that there is a single transporter under Data's robotic arm that can transport one person back to where they need to go. Data, in his final goodbye, says goodbye to Captain Picard, beams Picard back, and then the Scimitar explodes, killing Data and Shinzon and everyone on board. The end of the film leaves us on a note of sadness for Data, sadness for the crew splitting up, Beverly leaving, Riker going to command the Titan with Deanna, and a sense of sadness at the end of our TV show / movie franchise love. And what we get is B4 singing a little bit of the song that Data sung at the wedding at the beginning of the film, and we see that Data might come back, and we see that there's a little bit of hope that this could keep going on. When this film came out, I was so excited for it. We had a really cool... The Clone of Picard thing did not excite me, but the special effects looks amazing. The shot of Romulus, the space battles, the Next Generation crew all back together, Troy and Riker's wedding. It looked really, really amazing. It was a film that was set up to be possibly the most exciting. After Insurrection, which was a lighter film, much more Gene Roddenberry-ish film, because obviously it's talking about life and death. This film was very much about what it is to be yourself as an individual. What this film unfortunately did was forget that it was Star Trek for most of the film. So we had obvious homages to Star Wars at the beginning with the car chase with the people on the planet when they're saving the data droid B4 from the planet's surface. We had a Star Wars reference, and a lot of things were cut out for beats. We obviously had Troy and Riker's wedding, which is the biggest beat within it. And we have Whoopi turn up, we have Will Wheaton turn up, and then nice cameos. But there was, if you watch the deleted scenes on the DVD, there is a lot of character moments that were just cut from the beat. Data talking about death, Will Wheaton talking about what he's been up to and going on the Titan with Riker and Deanna. What we ultimately have is a film written by a huge Star Trek fan, that is John Logan, who also wrote Gladiator and the film Bats. Gladiator was good, Bats I never wanted to watch because it's about giant bats. And we had Stuart Byrd, who wanted to make an impression with his first film. Directing wise, the film looks really, really good. It's edited to ship. Instead of dealing with instead of having action and drama beats, very much goes, well, I don't want this action beat, this bit that'll cater to the fans. We want to show this action, this action, this action. And Stuart Byrd seems to focus on that. And it's the main aspect of the film. There's characters that have missed out. We didn't find out what was going on with Will Wheaton. You literally just saw him in the background. Whoopi has a brief appearance. You don't get Whoopi and don't give her a brief appearance. You don't have characters like Seela, who are prominent within the show as a part of the Romulan Empire. You get an entire new alien race, the Remans, which sort of take place of the Romulans at this point. It's a really weird choice to suddenly create a new alien race, even though you're promoting the other one for being there. And ultimately, the movie was a failure. I imagine they made back their money from DVDs and sales over the years. But certainly it was a critical failure for most people. I really liked the film. I didn't like the fact they cut those scenes out, but it doesn't really miss anything. I know they're there. The biggest missed opportunity is obviously talking about Leonard Nimoy, who was obviously on Romulus or had been a part of the Romulus storylines in TNG, not having Seela, who obviously was a big part of the Romulan stories in TNG. We had less Trek referencing, which I get. First Contact, you had a surrogate character in the earlier humans, the 21st century humans. In this film, you don't really have a surrogate character, but they try to keep it very, very simple for the audience. Here's a good guy, here's a bad guy, he's being naughty, let's attack it. Picard dealing with his mortality and not having sons and stuff like that. There was plenty of scenes where, like, Beverly is virtually removed from this film, where Beverly is talking to Picard in these deleted scenes about his youth and about how he was. And they are removed for action beats. You could remove that tiny car chase firing action beat from Finding B4 at the beginning of the film and insert a couple of character moments. It would have made this film 10 times more impactful. Tom Hardy's performance in this film is great. He's a great actor, but there's nothing connecting him with Picard other than some prosthetics, and he has an English accent. And people aren't dumb enough to really think different accent. Also, he has giant lips comparatively to Patrick Stewart. So overall, is Star Trek Nemesis a good watch? Yeah, I love it. It's a part of the 4 TNG films. The only superbly good one is First Contact. The rest are all good. Generations is my personal favorite on production value. Insurrection has a very TNG feel about it. Nemesis has a very end of the era feeling about it, which would be continued kind of in Star Trek Picard. And First Contact has a banger of a movie in terms of there is no way you compete with that. It's the Star Trek 2 and 4 of the Next Generation films. What do you think about Star Trek Nemesis? I personally think it's great. Make sure to check out my other reviews. Prodigy's coming out Tuesday, Strange New Worlds every Thursday, and obviously other topics on Sunday. Like this video is random. I literally sit here and go, what do I want to talk about today? And I talk about what I want to talk about, which is Star Trek Nemesis. Although I was watching Star Trek the Motion Picture when I came up with it. So make sure you leave your views in here. We want to grow this channel as fast as we can. Trek Trav